Okay, well, you've been asking me for a percents video, and the truth is, I wasn't sure where to start because part of what makes percents hard is there are so many different ways to solve a percent question. And what works best for one question might not work best for another question. The activity questions from the brainpop percents video are a good example. So I like these questions and may end up using them on, or at least one or two of them on the test, which we have. All right, so the first one asks, what percent of a dollar are a nickel, which is 5 cents, and a dime, which is 10 cents? So right away, when I see the word percent, I know it means out of 100, which is good because a dollar is 100 cents. So a nickel is 5 out of 100. A dime is 10 out of 100, which are very easy percents. A nickel is 5%. A dime is 10%. Not all percents questions have to be hard. Number 2 says, what's a 15% tip on a meal that costs $38.40? Typical scenario, you're out to eat, the waiter or the waitress does a good job, you want to leave a decent tip. Here in New York, we say, oh, just double the tax. Tax being about 8 or 9%. You double it, now you have 16, 18% tip. That's an easy way, but that's not always what you want to do. So one of the things I do is round some things off. 38.40 is close to $40. Now, 15% means 15 out of 100, or even easier, 0.15. Remember, to change a percent to a decimal, you just move the decimal 2 places to the left. So I can do 0.15 times 40 very easily, probably in my head. 15 times 2 is 30, 30 times 2 is 60. How many decimal places? 2. So a $6 tip. Now, are you going to leave the waitress $6 or are you going to leave change? This question probably wants an exact answer. I would do it the same way. 38.40 times 0.15. Remember, the tip is something extra in addition to what you're paying. So 0, 0, 2, 8 times 5 is 40, 42, 15, 19. Seems like a lot of work just to do this, but I would probably go with the original $6 if I was in the restaurant, which is easy to calculate, but let's get the exact answer. 0, 4, 8, 3, add 17, 3, 4, 5. There it is. And how many decimal places do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4. So I need 1, 2, 3, 4. I will leave that waiter or waitress $5.76. No more, no less. No. Obviously, I would probably round it to $6, but there's your exact answer. 55% of students voted for Maya as class president. If 78 students voted for Maya, how many students were there in the class? All right, hard question. Hard question because how do you set this one up? They're giving us two things. They're giving us 55% and 78 students, right? So 55% means 55 out of 100. But of course, in this case, we don't have 100. We have 78 students. So they're telling us that 78 is 55%. Now they want to know, well, what's 100%? In other words, how many kids are in the whole class? First of all, again, make an estimate. 80 kids, I don't know, no, let's go down. 75 kids around would be about 50%. So to get to 100%, I just double it. 150 kids would be about 100%. So I know that my answer should be somewhere around 150. But how do you get the exact answer? 55% is 55 out of 100. In this case, the part of the students that voted for Maya is 78. And we don't know what the whole is. So we can set it up this way. 78 over, we don't know. Call it X, call it a question mark. How do you solve a proportion? Well, you could say whatever you did to the top, you do to the bottom, but 55 doesn't go into 78. So cross multiply. 78 times 100 is 7,800 divided by 55. 55 goes into 78 once. 78 minus 55, 23, bring down the 0. 55 goes into 234 times. 55 times 4 is 220. 230 minus 220 is 10. Bring down the 0. 55 only goes into 100 once. Now, what are we going to do with the remainder? Now, remember, our answer is kids. So can we have a part of a kid only in a horror movie? So we can leave it at 141, or we could keep going and see maybe it rounds up to 142. So we have 45 left over. Add another 0. 55 goes a lot. I'm going to guess 8 or 9 times. So this becomes 141.8 something. Our answer is about 142 kids. About 142 kids. All right. All right. And remember, our original estimate was 150. So that seems like a reasonable answer. All right. A couple more. Slushy recipe calls for 4 cups of fruit juice, but you only have 3.5 cups. By what percentage do you need to cut back all the ingredients to make the recipe turn out correctly? So again, part over whole. Again, most people find fractions more difficult than decimals. So 3.5 I would change to 3.5. So we have 3.5 out of 4. Now, I could just divide this and see what I get. Let's see what happens. The one on top jumps inside, and I just divide. 4 goes into 3.5 8 times. 4 times 8 is 32. 35 minus 32 is 3. Add another 0. 4 goes into 37 times. 28. Add another 0. 4 goes into 25 times. That means that 3.5 is, remember, decimal to percent. 2 places to the right. 1, 2. 87.5%. But I don't think that's the answer they want. All right, they say by what percent do you need to cut back? So I guess you could say you could use 87.5%, or you could say reduce the ingredients by 12.5%. So use 12.5%. Less of each ingredient. Tough problem. Followed by an easy problem. Julia's Great Dane is 45 kilograms. Pull the numbers out. And Jake's Chihuahua is 15 kilograms. How much bigger as a percent is Julia's dog? Well, 15 goes into 45, right? When you have percents 100% means the whole thing. So the whole thing of the Chihuahua is 100%. Two Chihuahuas is 200%. Three Chihuahuas is 300%. Three 15s is 45. So how much bigger as a percent? I guess you would say 300% bigger, which is the same thing as 3 times bigger. Somebody would argue that then it's actually 200% bigger because it's actually 30 kilograms bigger, and 30 kilograms is 200%, but either way would be correct. A scout meeting lasts 2 hours. If 36 minutes of the meeting is spent making dream catchers, what percentage of the meeting is left? First of all, I have to know 1 hour is 60 minutes. So 2 hours, 120 minutes. So the whole meeting, is 120 minutes. The part they used was 36 minutes. Now, as a fraction, I can just divide, but I also see that I can simplify this. I'll divide by 6, top and bottom. 6 goes into 36 6 times. 6 goes into 120 20 times. And that can be simplified again, divide by 2, and you get 3 over 10. Now I could divide. Now remember, this is how much they use, 3/10. So that means they have 7/10 left. All right? 3/10 plus 7/10, 10/10. 7/10 is the same thing as 70/100. 70/100 is 70%. They have 70% of the meeting time left. Good questions. Thank you again to brainpop for these. Be aware, be looking for some of these questions on the test, which is Friday the 21st. Thanks for watching.